What if I told you that some of the most common exercise advice given to people over the age of 60 might actually be limiting how strong, stable, and independent they can become? When I first started reviewing the latest research on aging, movement, and physical performance, even I was surprised by what the data revealed. For decades, walking has been promoted as the safest and most reliable form of exercise for older adults. Doctors recommend it. Health campaigns promote it, and millions of people rely on it every single day. And to be clear, walking is not bad. It improves circulation, supports heart health, and helps prevent complete inactivity. But newer long-term studies suggest that walking alone may no longer be enough once the body crosses a certain age threshold. In one major investigation conducted in Europe, researchers followed more than 8,000 adults over the age of 60 for nearly 5 years. These individuals were divided into two broad groups. One group relied primarily on traditional walking routines for exercise. The other group replaced a portion of their walking time with a small set of targeted, structured movements designed to challenge strength, balance, and coordination. The results shocked even experienced researchers. Participants who incorporated just 5 specific exercises into their weekly routine reduced their risk of falls by more than 70%. At the same time, their overall physical strength increased by close to 90%. That is not a rounding error. That is nearly doubling physical capability at an age when many people expect steady decline. Because the results were so unexpected, the researchers reanalyzed the data multiple times. The findings remained consistent. What made the outcome even more remarkable was this. The group performing targeted exercises spent roughly 40% less total time exercising than the walking-only group. Yet they still showed superior results across nearly every health marker measured. Blood pressure improvements were about 30% greater. Joint discomfort dropped by more than 2/3, compared to only modest changes in the walking group. Bone density did not merely stabilize. It increased, but one finding stood out above all others. The number one exercise on the list was so simple that over 90% of participants were able to perform it immediately, without equipment, without special instruction, and without prior training. Yet this single movement was associated with a 42% improvement in biological markers linked to longevity. According to researchers studying aging at major medical institutions, this movement activates a process known as mechanotransduction. This is the mechanism by which physical forces send signals directly to cells, influencing how tissues repair, adapt, and function over time. In simple terms, the body receives instructions to behave in a younger, more resilient way. Once you understand how this process works, it can completely change how you think about exercise after 60. This is not about training harder. It is about training smarter. The difference could determine whether you are walking confidently in your 80s or relying on support much earlier than expected. Before we continue, take a moment to tell us your age and where you are watching from. We read every comment, and your experiences help others feel encouraged and informed. Now let's begin. Number 5. Wall push-ups with a controlled hold. At first glance, wall push-ups may seem almost too simple to be effective. Many people dismiss them immediately, assuming that anything done against a wall cannot possibly build real strength. But research on aging and resistance training tells a very different story. After the age of 60, adults lose an estimated 2 to 3% of muscle mass every year unless they actively counteract it. This loss is not evenly distributed. Fast-reacting muscle fibers, the ones responsible for catching yourself during a stumble, decline faster than endurance fibers. This means reaction time slows even in people who walk regularly. Walking does very little to challenge the upper body. The arms, shoulders, chest, and core receive minimal stimulus during a walk. Over time, this leads to weakness in exactly the muscles needed to push doors open, carry groceries, brace during a fall, or rise from the floor. Studies examining resistance training in adults over 60 show that slow, controlled bodyweight exercises can improve upper body strength by 30 to 40% within 8 to 12 weeks. When brief isometric holds are added, the results become even more pronounced. Wall push-ups with a hold train functional strength patterns. These are the same coordinated movements used dozens of times throughout the day, often without conscious thought. To perform this exercise, stand about an arm's length away from a wall. Place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height and shoulder width apart. Slowly lean forward until your face comes close to the wall. Pause in this position for 3 to 5 seconds. You should feel engagement through your chest, shoulders, arms, and core. Then press back to the starting position with control. The tempo is critical: 2 seconds forward, a controlled hold, 2 seconds back. This creates time under tension, which research shows is especially effective for building strength in older adults while reducing joint strain. Gains, sufficiently but also strengthen the improvements in muscle's reaction time and movement responsible for control. Reaction time improvements of more than 20% have been documented and stabilizing the body factor in fall prevention. Now let's move to number 4. Seated leg lifts with progressive resistance. Lower body strength plays a direct role in mobility, independence, and confidence. Yet many people over 60 rely almost entirely on walking. Reaction time improvements of more than 20% have been documented, climbing and stabilizing the body. Research published in rehabilitation and physical medicine journals shows that seated leg strengthening improves walking speed by 20 to 30% and stair climbing ability by as much as 40% in older adults. Walking speed is so closely linked to health outcomes that clinicians often refer to it as a functional vital sign. This exercise targets the quadriceps and hip flexors, muscles essential for getting out of a chair, climbing stairs, and maintaining balance. Traditional walking does not load these muscles enough to prevent age-related decline. To perform seated leg lifts, sit upright in a sturdy chair with your back supported and feet flat on the floor. Slowly lift one leg forward, keeping it as straight as comfortable. Pause briefly at the top, then lower without letting the foot rest fully on the floor. Perform 10 to 15 repetitions, then switch sides. This is an example of unilateral training where one side of the body works at a time. Research shows that unilateral exercises help correct muscle imbalances that naturally develop with age. Before moving on, if you have found this information helpful so far, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. We share evidence-based senior health content regularly, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Number 3. Standing heel raises with a balance challenge. Balance-focused exercises appear in nearly every successful fall prevention program designed for older adults. One reason is that the calves and ankles play a critical role in stability and circulation, yet they are often neglected. Studies involving adults over 60 consistently show that strengthening the calves and ankles can reduce fall risk by 25 to 50%. Depending on program duration and consistency. The calf muscles act as a secondary pump for circulation, helping move blood upward from the legs toward the heart. Weak calves are associated with poor circulation, slower reaction time, and reduced ability to recover from a stumble. To perform heel raises, stand behind a chair and lightly hold it for balance if needed. Slowly rise onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as comfortable. Hold for 3 seconds while looking straight ahead, then lower slowly over 3 seconds. As balance improves, reduce hand support or progress to single-leg heel raises. Research shows that adding balance challenges improves proprioception, the body's ability to sense its position in space, which is one of the first systems to decline with age. Participants who included balance-focused heel raises in their routines showed measurable improvements in postural control and reaction time within 8 to 12 weeks. Now we move to number 2. Modified squats to a chair. The ability to stand up from a chair without assistance is one of the strongest predictors of independence later in life. Large studies show that adults who struggle with sit-to-stand movements face a significantly higher risk of functional decline. Chair squats strengthen the hips, thighs, core, and back simultaneously. They train one of the most important movements used in daily life. To perform this exercise, stand in front of a sturdy chair with feet hip-width apart. Slowly lower yourself toward the chair by pushing your hips back, keeping your chest upright. Lightly touch the chair without fully sitting, then stand back up by pressing through your heels. Structured programs show that older adults practicing chair squats 3 times per week can increase lower body strength by 40 to 50% within 2 months. Walking speed and confidence in daily movement also improve. Finally, number 1. Slow balance-based movement such as Tai Chi. Tai Chi and similar slow, controlled balance practices have been studied extensively in adults over 60. Systematic reviews show that these practices reduce fall risk by 30 to 45%, while improving balance, coordination, and confidence. Unlike traditional exercise, Tai Chi challenges the nervous system as much as the muscles. Participants show improvements in reaction time, body awareness, and movement confidence. Even sessions lasting 20 to 30 minutes practiced a few times per week have been associated with meaningful functional gains. When viewed together, these 5 exercises explain why targeted movement often outperforms walking alone after 60. Walking supports heart health, but it does not sufficiently challenge strength, balance, or coordination. The goal is not to stop walking. The goal is to add what walking cannot provide: The goal is not to stop walking. Most research-based programs recommend short, structured sessions performed 3 to 4 times per week. Start where you are. Progress gradually. Focus on consistency. Your body retains its ability to adapt at every age when given the right stimulus. And this point cannot be overstated. One of the most persistent myths about aging is that the body simply stops responding to training after a certain age. Decades of research prove the opposite. What changes is not the ability to adapt, but the type of stimulus required to trigger adaptation. Multiple longitudinal studies tracking adults in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s show that when resistance, balance, and coordination are trained intentionally, improvements occur rapidly. In many cases, the relative percentage gains in strength and balance are equal to or greater than those seen in younger adults, simply because older adults are starting from a lower baseline. Researchers studying functional aging often point out that decline is not driven by age alone. It is driven by underuse. Muscles that are not challenged weaken. Balance systems that are not tested become less responsive. Neural pathways that are not reinforced begin to fade. This is why targeted exercise matters. These 5 movements are not magic, but together they form a system, one that addresses how the body actually changes with age. Strength, balance, coordination, reaction time, and confidence are all trainable qualities. Even later in life, walking still has a place. Fresh air matters, movement matters. But when walking is paired with targeted exercises like these, the results are consistently better. So the real takeaway is simple. Do not aim for intensity. Aim for consistency. 10 to 20 minutes, a few days a week. Movements that challenge the body just enough to remind it what it's capable of. Your body is listening, and it will respond. Now, before we go, I'd genuinely love to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us your age, only if you're comfortable, and share one everyday task that's become just a little more challenging lately. Maybe it's climbing stairs. Maybe it's reaching high shelves. Maybe it's getting up from the sofa. We read every single comment, and your responses help shape this channel so it stays practical, relevant, and useful. If you found this video helpful, take a moment to like it. It helps more people discover content that's designed specifically for healthy aging. And if you want more evidence-based guidance like this, calm, clear, and grounded in real research, consider subscribing. New videos are released regularly, all focused on helping you stay strong, steady, and independent for years to come. Thank you for spending this time with us. Take care of your body and keep moving with purpose.